Before I interview my next guest, I'm really excited about a fellow writer. I'd like to read this letter to you. And there's a purpose for reading this letter. It is letter number 779. We'll talk about the significance of that. October 29, 2013. Dear friend, to reach a dream, we must believe, not wishful thinking, but a burning desire to achieve it. To those who believe they will achieve, I'm writing this letter because I want to encourage you to dream big, believe in yourself, take the step of faith, and dare to achieve. I'd like to challenge you to write a letter this week to one random person from Kansas, encourage them to pursue their dreams and mail it out. Live, love, and hug everyone you love as long as you live. And there's a smiley face, your random friend, Alexey Katko. And I want to thank you so much, Alexey, for joining me. He was
Thank you.
born in, where were you born, Alexei? So I don't have to say the word.
Kazakhstan.
Kazakhstan. So I did that. I
Yes,
shared this with my daughter. You survived lead poisoning. Not
yep.
only that, but he survived an explosion accident that landed him in recovery mode, 2 years, 9 operations. Um,
Yep.
I think this is what inspired you to write letters. You lost two friends
To
to
suicide.
suicide, which is something
Yep.
that is so traumatizing. I don't know if I don't really know you, but I almost took my life when I was 31.
Hmm.
And it is something where when you're in that dark space, you think that's the answer. You don't think about
Yes.
the people you leave behind. You just want the pain to go away. So, and I think a lot of us during this pandemic, everyone handles depression, anxiety, fears differently.
Yep.
But Alexei, are you ready to hear this? Wrote not one, not 100, not 500, wrote 1,000 letters of encouragement, 1,000 letters to, encouraging people and inspiring them to write their own letters. And he'll share more about this later, but every night, guys, every single night at 7 p.m., if you're on Clubhouse, please visit his room. He reads 10 letters a night. And his goal, I love your goal, is to encourage people worldwide to write 1 billion letters to each other. And I love the way that you explained it. It's not like a lofty goal. It's not like you wanted to purposefully set the goal high. Can
Yes.
you explain a little bit with that before we dive into why did you set it to a
Yes.
billion?
That's a great question. Why did I set this to a billion? Because my next phase in life is to go and speak about this all over the world. And one of the things that I noticed about speaking and speakers, not to judge anybody, but for me, I realized that a lot of times when speakers talk about a subject, they talk about either something in the past and they're talking about it now. And so you're gleaning from the past, or they're trying to inspire you, get you to do something in the future. For me, I decided to make a goal that I can still um, work off what I did in the past, share what I'm doing, and share what I'm going to be doing. So it's always an ongoing process of creation and not just something I talk about before or in the future. And so that action is the thing that inspires people. And a billion letters, I'll be honest, will I achieve that in my lifetime? I don't know and I don't care, but it's big enough for me to be always talking about here's the big vision, here's the big goal, get people on board to be like, hey, I want to be a part of this. And as I'm doing it, to inspire others to do this as well for as long as I live. And I think it'll be funny if a billion letters gets done pretty quickly, and then I'll be like, well, to the next billion.
Exactly. Exactly. We all need to start with a dream and belief. And like you said, dare to dream big, not just
Yes.
dream, because sometimes we minimize the potential.
Yep.
So, how did you get to the Big Island? You were born far, far, far away, and you didn't end up in Honolulu. You ended up on the Big Island. Out of all the islands, you didn't go to Maui, you didn't go to Kauai or Molokai. How did you choose the Big Island?
I would have to say it chose me. In When I was 13, I knew that I had to figure out a way in my life how to serve humanity. And so I was always trying different things, different things. And at one point in my journey, I knew that I grew up in one place predominantly, which is Massachusetts, this town called Belchertown. And it was by, forgot which news outlet, but every year they come out with the 10 worst town names in America. And we were number 6 that year. I think it was in 2010. Time magazine, I think it was. And so I grew up in a very small town in the middle of nowhere, and I realized that traveling does something to, like, I went visited like the next town over one day, and I'm like, holy moly, like people think differently, and that's awesome. And there was an idea at some point planted in my mind that I'm gonna expand my circle of traveling. And then at one point, just you will move to Hawaii, and I almost moved here in 2012. But I had a back accident that I had to stay back in the Northeast to get it fixed. And then right before I moved here, I had a really awesome job working for a corporate company, like national, and I loved it. And
Oh, Alexei,
so,
we just lost you. Oh, there you are. You're back.
yes, there I am. I'm sorry for
Oh, it's
some
okay.
reason my phone said battery was low, but I'm plugged into the battery. Okay, is this good?
Yep, yeah.
Are we
So
good? Okay, yeah.
you're going
So,
to
and then,
move.
yes, I was going to move, but I got hurt. I stayed back, and then I had this job where I ended up resigning, putting in my resignation 2 months in advance, and said that's sorry guys, I cannot do this. You're not. They're always talking about being people focused, but that was not the case. I'm like, you guys are awesome what you do, but I cannot be a part of this. And so when I left a week after, I'm falling asleep, and then this train thought just hits me, and it was 12 at night, and I just sit up, and the thought was like, it's time to move to Hawaii. I'm like, oh, dang it, but my life is so good here. I finally saved up enough money to start flipping homes, something I wanted to do since I was a teenager, and life was great, life was perfect, but this meant I had to once again give everything up, put everything to the side, and just move. And so in that moment I said, once in my life, I did not follow my gut, and I said, I'm never doing that again. And so I said, okay. The next night, I called a friend that I met through a conference 3 years prior, and I knew that they lived in Hawaii. And so every 6 months, we'd stay in touch. And so I reached out. Her and her husband are retired Army colonel. She's a colonel, and her husband is a lieutenant colonel. So I call her. I'm like, hey, I'm moving to Hawaii. What do I need to know? And I didn't know what island she was on, anything. Tells me, and she's like, listen, I'm starting a business. Why don't you come out here, help me? We got a room here, and we got an extra car, so come on over. So I bought a one-way ticket. Initially, I thought I was going to be here for 6 months, but after 3 months, I'm just like, poof. So I flew through Honolulu. I touched down there, took off, and the rest of the last 2 years that I've been here, I spent here in lovely, rainy, awesome, beautiful Hilo.
Hello.
Yes.
Wow. That is
Um,
amazing. And can you share a little bit more about how the letter started? I know it's a very emotional journey, if you don't mind.
yes, I would love to. That is the mission, the message. In 2013, I would have to characterize my life as finally moving to the direction that I always dreamed of. I used to do construction, remodeling bathrooms, and I was getting job after job. I was living in Savannah, Georgia. Everything just seemed to finally start working out for my life. And one day on a Saturday, if I remember correctly, it was a Saturday because I was not working that day. My sister calls me, and she was living in Massachusetts at that time. And she's like, Alexey, did you hear the news? My heart just sank. I'm like, no, what's the news? She's like, so and so committed suicide. And I was just like, oh my goodness. And it was a young family friend who lived a few states over. And I've seen his struggle, his challenges of just with life in general, how people are to him, how he felt towards life unfolding on Facebook. And I'd reach out to him every once in a while. And so when I heard that news, I just felt like my heart got punched, and I'm like, oh my goodness. And so while in that state of mind, I'm like, okay, who can I call to get some uplifting encouragement? 5 minutes later, I'm like, I'm going to call this friend because he was always just a ball of encouragement. And I call him, and when he picks up the phone, he's like, hello, through like sobs and tears. He's like, hello. I'm like, oh my goodness, like how much worse can things get? I'm like, dude, what's going on? And he's like, you haven't heard the news? I was like that must have been like forever. And when I responded, I was like, no, what's going on? He's like, my brother committed suicide as well. And so for the next like 12 minutes, 12, 15 minutes, we talked through tears and sobs. And when I put the phone down, I was teleported back to 2000. This was 2013. But in that moment, I started to feel like I did in 2008 when my brother-in-law committed suicide. And he taught me a lot of the stuff that I knew about remodeling. And so in 2008, when I had that experience, it took me almost 6 years to get out of that mental funk. Um, I even lost my ability to physically cry. I couldn't because some flip was switched in my mind. And just as I got out of that, this happens in 2013. And again, I felt the switch flip in my head. That's the only way I can describe it. Like something just went click. And I'm like, I remember standing there after the second phone call. I'm like, I have to make a decision. Am I going to go down this downward spiral, or am I going to use this for something great for humanity, not just myself? I knew this was far bigger than me. And so the next day I went to the rest of that day, half day. And the next day I went to a coffee shop at 6 a.m. I sat there till midnight. I happened to know the owners or the managers there, so they allowed me to do that. I told them in the morning, I'm like, I don't know how long I'm going to sit here, but they had a night shift there too. So I'm like, I might sit here for 24 hours, but I need to make a decision. And I decided to write 1,000 letters of encouragement that I was going to, and I gave myself a year to do that. And I said, I'm going to write 3 letters every day. Now, mind you, it would take me 10 to 40 minutes to write each letter. So writing 3 letters a day, that kind of commitment was to me like, it was way out of my comfort zone. And so I did, but instead of taking a year, it took me only half a year. And instead of mailing the letters out, my gut said, wait until the right moment. And so for 8 years, I traveled around. These letters went with me everywhere, in a box and paper and plastic. And I saw them all the time. And my mind is like, send them out, send them out. But my gut was like, just wait, just you wait. And so on March 28th, I finally mustered up the courage to start my first room on Clubhouse, which took me a whole month before I got the courage to do that, because I was just like who's gonna listen, and then also like scared, and then like who's gonna listen. But I did, and people, 3, 4, 5 people every evening come on each night from all over the world, all over the states, and it's been an amazing journey.
Well, I love listening to your letters, and it resonates with every one of us. It doesn't matter what you read, right? I think that the message is so universal that no matter what you're going through, I mean, who can't benefit from encouraging words? So,
Yes.
what I wanted to ask you is, how do you think children can benefit from this? Because a lot of the people who watch this, I usually do it on my YouTube channel, Letting Go with Aloha, Instagram, Facebook. A lot of parents, use this as maybe just resource, or maybe just, sometimes I have something that might be comforting and encouraging, because that's my goal: encourage, inspire parents so they don't feel so alone. So as a
Mhm.
letter writer, how do you think writing, which is sometimes, as you know, like the most horrific task that you can tell a child to do. Of course, I told you I had pen pals. I'm a diary writer, but if you are, say, a 12-year-old boy who, like, I don't even want to write my name, what can you do? I mean, what do you think the benefits are first?
The
Anyone writing,
benefits.
yes, because isn't it just
Mhm.
amazing? It's amazing what
Yes.
letter writing can do.
Yes, the benefits, the greatest benefit is being able to share. I think we have a great technology, and it's the oldest and the best technology to be able to capture someone's heart. And between the paper and pen is going to be some ink on a piece of paper. And it's not just ink and it's not just words. It is someone's heart on a piece of paper. And there's a difference for me. I define the difference between inspiration and encouragement is a world of a difference for me. And this is to help somebody, say a 12-year-old. Inspiration is, hey, you like, these are some things that you can achieve in your life. You can do big things. And it's very, a lot more general. Encouragement, comes with discouragement as well. Encouragement is about lending my belief into you to help your belief rise until you can go and start doing things. And so all of us, every one of us, no matter how old we are, I remember since I was a kid, and I have 21 nephews and nieces. So it's a great question.
Wow.
Yes.
So
And
you are like a dad. You have just a classroom of children
I
that
grew
you've
up
been
with
interacting
children,
with.
yes. And every person, no matter how old or young you are, you have a goal, a dream, a vision, something you want to achieve next. And the only way you will be dependent on what kind of encouragement or discouragement you get, or lack, or encouragement or lack of encouragement. And so when you write a letter to somebody, or to somebody you know, or to somebody you don't know, the fact is all of us have something we want to achieve, and it's unique to you. Encouragement to me is unique because I lacked encouragement, and so therefore I'm out there in the world and pursuing it and achieving, helping others do the same because of my struggle. Nobody else has the exact same struggle, similar but not exact. And so when you write a letter to somebody, you are capturing your belief in a moment of time to then go lend it to somebody else. And now they can take that just like money, they can take it to the bank of life and go and say, you know what, I can do this. And we all want to change, make the world an even better place. Then the best technology available to us, our secret human superpower, is encouragement. And letter writing is one of the most powerful, ageless ways that we can do that. And so for a 12-year-old, you want to change the world, start doing it one letter at a time.
You know, I just
Make your
realized, sorry, you know, I
what?
just realized it's not encouraging the 12-year-old to write. It is encouraging the parents to write even a post-it note. You know how moms used to say, have a great day and put it in their lunchbox? It's
Yes.
writing. It doesn't have to be a long thing, but it could be, you can do it. You know, I'm sorry you had a bad
Yep.
day. You know, pandemic is only temporary, but you know what would be really amazing when these children, because I kept everything my dad wrote, right? Like little notes, usually cards.
Yep.
And after the parents are gone, this is a legacy that you're leaving your child.
Yes. Timeless. The best form of
Timeless.
technology.
Yeah.
The
So it's
first.
not, yeah, because I thought it was
Yes.
like writing, have encouraging the kids to write, but as parents, what an amazing gift. We think we're here to discipline, to prepare them for life, to, you know, do
Mhm.
all of this stuff. But we really, I mean, that's one of the things I believe is, how do you leave a legacy?
Yes.
What an amazing legacy. You know, yes, it's, you know, having videos is great, having pictures is great, but you have an actual, you know, in your parents' handwriting. I mean, those little, even
Yes.
it said, you know, every little card my dad said was, God bless, love and God bless dad, love and God bless dad. But, you know, it, you know, happy, but just seeing his handwriting, you know, it's just
Yes.
so empowering. So just having, like you said, just a few words saying, you know, you had a bad day, but I know you'll pull through. Or just, I
Yes.
love you. You've got this. You know, just the tiniest, because your letters, I mean, so powerful. But when you think about it, they're very short and but very you know, it's not like pages and pages, but your short message just to read, to reach a dream we must believe. I mean, I remember I teared up because I thought, oh my gosh, he's speaking to me. And then I thought this was a random letter written, you know, 8 years ago, but I bet every single person who gets your letter, that message, I'm sure you're told that message resonates. I know Deslin, my soul sister who actually introduced me to Alexey, she loved her letter. And then of course I am a, you know, student by heart, and I found someone from Kansas, a random person on a Kansas pen pal list. And she was a mom, and I decided I'm going to do this, you know, single mom of three. I don't know if I was just telling Alexia, I don't know if she got it or not, but you were saying just the energy that I just
Yep.
put forth, right? And I said, okay, whether she opened it or not, I think, like you said, one letter at a time. You know how easy the billion, though? One person does one letter, and then you have a classroom of kids doing a letter, and then you have the corporates, you know, having a meeting and
Yes.
they write a note, and before you know it, it's going to happen.
Yes. The other beautiful thing about this journey of writing 1,000 letters is at first I had to start doing it, but then I had to take on the journey. But then the journey took me on, which
Yes.
I thought it will take a year, but it didn't. It took a half a year. And the reason is because it really, to be honest, one thing I have not shared is that that was up until then, that year was one of my darkest years of my life leading up until then. And in writing these letters and just saying, look, you can still do great things, it affects you as a letter writer too. Like if you
Yeah.
want to, like, now I'm reading these letters 8 years later that I haven't for almost 8 years, it's impacting me greatly. It impacted me then greatly, and it's going to impact others. And so kind of to summarize, for a 12-year-old, it's like you want to really start believing in yourself and having the courage to do something. Start helping somebody else in the way you know. And one of the easiest ways is like start writing letters to other people of encouragement, family, friends. Like I used to do this before these letters, to family, friends, and relatives. And years down the road, they'll be like, Alexey, remember you wrote me that letter? And I'll be honest, a lot of times I told them, like, what letter? And
Yeah.
they're like, the letter you sent me. I had people crying and telling me, like, sharing these deep stories of how nobody's ever encouraged them like that. But yet encouragement, like, you want to make a superwoman, superman out of a 12-year-old, tell them to start writing letters of encouragement to people and literally just hand them out. I went to a retirement home and I gave a letter to the workers there, and I get a response like
Wow.
half an hour later, like, dude, this is already, like, there's two people here who are making a big decision and this letter helped them make it. You couldn't make the stuff up. Talk about being a superhuman in the moment. We will all die eventually, and our names will be forgotten. We can count on that. And that's a beautiful thing because it's our work, our legacy, which will live
Yes.
on, not our names.
Well, like you said, it does empower you as a letter writer because, and that's what even these motivational speakers and, people who study psychology, when you write it, what you don't just write, you can vent, but when you write your dreams and what you aspire, many times just the act of writing encourages
Yes.
you. And it's not like, I wish I could, but it's like, I have the power to.
Yes. I love that. Very true. Very true. So yeah, in short, you want to be a superwoman, you want to be a superman, dear 12-year-old, start writing letters. And
And it
then you'll
doesn't
see
matter,
the
right? The handwriting doesn't matter. Do
nope.
you sometimes suggest even, now that everyone's connected to their, right, a 12-year-old phone, but even if they record it later on, have the intention to write it, but sometimes just, that's the first step, right? Because some people just, I've had people say, oh, I'm just not a writer, like I'm just not a reader. And it might take time, but that first step, having those
Mhm.
words, right? Because you might say, I don't know what to write. But we all, instead of doing a grocery list, it's like, you know what, you can
Yes.
do this. Oh my gosh, I had such a
Yeah.
horrible day. My daughter just shared right before I started this that she's in the nursing program and she transferred, had to start all over, and she just found out that she got kicked out because she didn't get the right score, just like 5 points away. And I
Wow.
thought, but at least you have your support group. And I'm a strong believer in writing. I know, letter writing, thanking someone for an interview. And
Yep.
sometimes the generation now is like texting, right? They text breakups, they text people firing, they text, it's just different. But when you write, like you said, I love how you said it. It is from your heart. And it's like what did you say? Like a piece of your heart or
It's a your heart in ink format.
your heart in ink format. That's a quote.
I like that. I
Your
will
ink
totally write that one.
in, yeah, your heart in ink format is what can save someone because it's encouragement. And instead of listening to it, I mean, you just carry that letter like you carried all 1,000. Whenever you feel, just in despair, or we all have moments where, you know what, I don't think I
Yes.
can do this anymore, right? I don't want
Yep.
to. Things are too hard. When is this
Yes.
pandemic going to end? When are we? And then you just take that note and just reading it. And you were saying when you hear your letters read, can you share how that makes you feel? I mean, just saying, I want you to, just encourage you to dream big, believe in yourself. These are your words written that we're all reading, these letters that you've written. How does that feel?
I will say it feels very, very, there is no word other than I can say very, it's like me, my past self taking me by my shoulders now and just shaking me like this and saying, Alexey, go for it. I was sharing this on one of the in one of the rooms that I was doing. When I was making the decision to or not to write 1,000 letters, it was just a gut feeling that like, you got to do this. My brain was like, don't do this. This is stupid. Like, this is
Right,
way
right.
too much. Like, way too much. Like, don't do it. But my gut was like, do it. And now I'm sitting, as I'm reading these letters, I have this image of my current self reaching out through time and space to my old self and saying, write these letters, write these letters, write these letters. Luckily I did. And now it's my old self reaching out to my current self saying, go for it, do it. And it just, when I read these letters, I read them as if I'm my old self reading to me now. And it really hits me every single time because the mission, the vision, the goal, my aspiration, what I want to achieve is far beyond what that Alexey and this Alexey could have ever dreamed of. I would have never dreamed of, I would have never created this book like I wanted to, but reading this and then people saying, hey, can you make me one? Can you make this book? It's like, okay. And so it's because of these letters, I'm like, holy moly, whoever that Alexey, thank you.
Well, it's a drive. I think every one of us has this passion. Sometimes we might not know what the passion is, but once
Yes,
it ignites, because it resonates and this is what I meant to do. But like you said, that limiting belief telling you, no, 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 it's too big. No, it's stupid. No, don't do it. That's where these
yep,
letters of encouragement come in, to not
indeed.
listen to any limiting beliefs or messages and just remind ourselves. I mean, we must do
Yes,
what is meant to be. I mean, it's inside of us, but we let fear, we let judgment, we let overwhelm, right? It's like, no, what am I thinking of? No, no.
yep. And a lot of times it won't pan out. Most of the time in life, I found it interesting that when your gut tells you to do something, the results are over time. It's never instant. And so, like,
Yes.
looking back right now, I did this, and it's just all coming together right now. So at a pace, I'm just like, whoa. And that's the thing about pursuing these things. That's where belief, like you kept on saying, the belief factor. That's where encouragement is. Why it's like so important. Why it's so crucial key to anyone's success is because you might have an idea and the belief behind that idea will either make you do it encouraged or discouraged. But
Yes.
most of us do not believe in ourselves. That's why lending your belief into somebody else is our secret human superpower, my
It
belief.
is a superpower because sometimes, and even if you tell yourself, I can do it, I can do it, I can do it, that voice is so loud. What? No, you can't. And then you receive a handwritten letter and you think, it's something isn't it power? It is a superpower because you're reading it and then your brain sees the words in print.
Yeah,
And that overpowers the limiting beliefs. And before you know it, you're living your dream. I mean, who would have thought I mean, when I heard that you kept these treasures for 8 years, but you know what? We didn't have technology. We talked about it in your clubhouse. We didn't have Clubhouse. Clubhouse is still very new. I'm afraid, but you know what? I decided to do what you're doing. I don't have I don't have I mean, every day to me is just mind blowing, but I'm doing it every
to each their
Friday,
own.
Sunday, and I'm thinking, I don't know, this is dinner time. Do I change it? And I thought, no, like this Sunday is Mother's Day. I might have no one, but you know what? I'm just showing up. As we
Yes,
end, I want to just share that one story that you shared, that when you started Clubhouse, you did it for 3 days and then you stopped, right? And then
yes.
Nick, did you know Nick, or was Nick a Clubhouse friend?
Everyone I know on there is Clubhouse friends.
Wow. So this guy that you did not even know reached out and said, hey, are you still doing these letters? And then
It
the
was
way you
actually Nick's friend, Josh.
Wow. But I love how you said, oh, yeah, 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 I'm doing it. And inside you're like, yeah, I
Yep.
haven't done it in 3 days. Yeah, I'm going to do it. And when someone propels you, then you think accountability, right? I guess I'm going to have to do it,
Yep,
And then
exactly.
now it's been over a month, going on 2 months at the end of May. And I always want to come on, and then sometimes I think, oh, I can't, but I just know that. Too bad they couldn't be a replay, but that's the beauty of Clubhouse. It's just knowing
Yes.
that whatever happens, it doesn't matter. I had one person last Sunday, and then they said, I gotta go, and then it was by myself, and then I thought, and the next time I will stay there. I just left because I thought, what do I do? And then when you said that, Deslin was like, he's committed, and I said, okay, I will commit, and then if anything, see, you have something to read. You know what? I can read my parenting tips
Yeah,
because I was
exactly.
just sitting there going, well, and then I think my family was like, are you ready for dinner? I'm like, yeah, okay. So I had an excuse, but I think just reading, I could
Yes,
read from here. I could read a letter
exactly.
that you received that I got from you, just reading and sharing, and then maybe it'll encourage me to just stay. Because you have something to read, so at least it's like a purpose. Okay, I'm here to read. I thought, what am I doing
Yes.
here? I'm supposed to share, but
Hey, I totally understand it because there's times when earlier this week I read 6 letters before somebody jumped on, and this is almost a like a month or so in, and I totally relate to where it feels like, what am I doing? Why am I reading to myself? But then the voice in my head is like, the most important person who needs to be here is already here.
yes,
Read your letters or
yes,
share your message. Life is testing us. It will be testing us to make sure that what we want is what we want. And I think we take it as a challenge, but it does feel weird reading to yourself or talking to yourself. But hey, nobody's there to know, and nobody in the real world knows that you're just talking to yourself.
that's
So it's
true. And
cool.
that's what I was saying. I was like, because Deslin, it was just me and Deslin talking about grief, and we started talking about other stuff, and then we thought, you know what? It doesn't matter. She's like, yeah, Karen, no one knows. She's like, no one can see you. No one knows. Why are you scared? And I thought, because it's scary. I don't know. It's just
Yeah,
because you
it
don't know
is.
who
It
pops
really
up.
is.
And then when they pop up and they leave, then I think, did I just say something that made them leave? And then
Yeah.
you personalize it, and Jess is like, Karen, because I had said something, and right after I spoke, he left. And I was like,
Yeah.
Jess, did I say
Yep.
something wrong? And she goes, Karen, stop.
Yep. Wise words.
Well, because sometimes, and I love when you said, if you have to leave, leave. And I love that. And I said, I'm sure Alexei's not going to be like, wow, why did Karen just leave? I love that you said that, because sometimes you have to leave quietly. Like, I don't know, my dog could be
Yep.
barking. Someone says, Mom. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to know that it's okay. And we can't stop moving forward or taking action because of judgment. And that's what I love what you're doing. Thank you so much. I was telling Alexia that I'm going to visit my mother who has Alzheimer's in the care home. So thank you for being flexible. I know you have a full
Thank
day.
you.
The chocolate, right?
Yes. Cacao farm today,
Cow
pruning all
farm,
day.
amazing. You are like chocolate creator, letter creator, encouragement, and keep doing what you're doing. And I just really
Thank you.
appreciate this time that you're giving me. Take
Thank
care.
you very much. I
We
really
will
appreciate
connect,
this.
and I will try my best to be there 7 o'clock tonight. 7 o'clock every night, guys.
Okay.
And just tell your room is called.
1,000 encouraging letters, 7 p.m. Hawaii time.
Oh, that's right. 7 p.m. Hawaii time. So 10 p.m. right now,
Yes.
Pacific, or wow. So is that 2 a.m.?
I know the
Oh, 1 a.m.
furthest
1
I had
a.m.
in
Yeah,
Chicago
1 a.m.
is
in East
12.
Coast.
Yep. And it's, if you go out to South Africa, people from there, from Europe, it's already 7 a.m., 10
That's
a.m.
right. Because someone said good morning, we're saying good night. It's just
Yes.
global. You are making a global impact. So thank you so much. Keep writing, keep mailing,
Thank
and
you.
I will talk to you later. Take care,
Okay.
Alexei. Thanks. Have a great day.
You too.
Bye.
Bye-bye.